Lining up on the grid on a racetrack 3.5 clicks long with a dozen proper corners to deal with. No long straights worthy of the name. Another one where they won't be seeing Top Gear very often, if at all. And there's going to be a premium on racecraft. Staying out of trouble is the name of the game here. On pole, Thomas Ackery, 900ths clear of Christian Mamero. They may keep him on after that. And he has certainly given Thomas Ackery something to think about as they prepare for the run down to turn 1.
I've made a good time this morning. We have made a good job yesterday on the car. I think we have all the chance to win today.
It's a rolling start. Ackery weaving from side to side as they leave the grid and form up in line astern, no overtaking. And as the grid comes round to the start-finish line, see the sign, grid, that reminds them to go back to their side-by-side positions. When the Wiesmann GT leading car pulls aside into the pit lane, and it will do any moment, the race comes under the control, there it goes, of Thomas Ackery in the silver Aston Martin with the blue lipstick. He's the man keeping them back at a steady speed, controlling the start, or he should be, until he gets the sign from above the track when the red lights turn to green. Round 5 of the FIA GT3 Championship in Germany is go. Ackery on the gas hard. Mamero with him, but Dino Lunardi has jumped up in the blue Ford on board, way back down the grid with the second of the Hex's Aston Martins. But look at that, Ackery, pole man, Lunardi in the GT has jumped on Christian Mamero. He didn't do too badly on his first start though, did he? Fisher GT Ford round the outside there, back down the field with the Aston Martin. Just see it at the back of the picture now as this full field still pretty much in grid order. A little bit of shuffling going on, and now Ackery tries to make the break. Lunardi trying to go with him. Christian Mamero doesn't want to let him go, does he? He's just hanging on to the tail end of the Ford. That is Christian Nygaard in the number 28 Fisher Ford. We're back down. Manuel Rodriguez started in 26th place, lost a few on the grid. That's Robert Hissam, and he shouldn't be on the grass there. The CRS driver should be on the racetrack with everybody else. This is why he's not, though. Lloyd Lamarca just eased him off in that corner there, and that really was an avoidable accident. Looking back now, this is an unavoidable Aston Martin holding up Dino Lunardi. The onboard camera making the gap seem much bigger than it really is. But this is how close they come into the corner. Christian Mamero in the background in the green. BMW Alpina still hanging with them as they go round the hotel corner and down towards the chicane, using all the track. Matek watching on the pit wall, and Hexis watching on the pit wall as well. Tense times for everybody. This really is, and that's Eric Dodonka getting ready for his turn in the number 2 car that's lying in second place. There's his teammate already in, Thomas Much, taking over the number 1 from Walter Salles. Pit stop for the Hexis team, the second Aston Martin. Fred Macavici climbing behind the wheel. If you don't like shocks, keep your eyes averted. Macavici is dynamite in one of those cars. And here comes Dino Lunardi now, anxious to get past Thomas Ackery before the pit stops. He'd like to hand it over in first place. The Fisher GT car is in as well. Mamero now threatened, challenged and passed by Nicholas Armindo. He dropped back to 4th place after Christopher Nygaard went through. Now goes down to 5th as Armindo goes P4, and we're still not into the end of the pit stop window, and the fast guys are still on track. The race leader is Thomas Ackery. Behind him there is Dino Lunardi. Who will blink first? You've got to take your pit stop in the allotted time, and there's only a couple of minutes remaining. If they don't go in for the pit stop, they will be penalised. The team will call them in. There's the pass by Armindo. Mamero's been doing a really good job, but lost a couple of places but the team, I'm sure, will want to see him back in the seat of that car for the next rounds. And in goes Zachary. Now, he's kept it out as long as he can, and this pit lane is so narrow. It's like being a pinball when you come into it after being out on the racetrack for half an hour. It's really narrow, and you can go full speed until there. Brake smoke, tyre smoke as he crosses the pit lane limit line and must go 60 kilometres an hour now. But it's really fast on the way in, and he's handing it over to the slower driver of the pairing, and that's always been the case. And a little bit of a French conversation going on there, instructions from one to the other. Lunardi leads it. Can he stay out on track for 2 laps? I don't think so. Can he get a decent lead? Can he gate the brake and make a couple of seconds and hand it over to Dodonka with a bit of time to spare? That was smoke on the back end of that car, and that's oil smoke from the engine, and it spun him off. Christopher Nygaard has lost all his water as well. There's all kinds of stuff. In comes Lunardi. This is an important stop. He's handing over to the big Belgian, Eric Dodonka, standing here in pit lane, GT4 champion for the last 2 years running. He knows a thing or two about racing. He's just not quite as quick in this car at the moment as Dino Lunardi is. And it'll be interesting to see how he manages and whether he comes out in front or behind the Aston Martin. 70 seconds is how long it must take you from pit in to pit out. Any less than that and you come back and pay a stop-go penalty for the difference. So you've got to get it absolutely right. It means there's about 45 seconds for a driver change. Here comes the battle on track. There goes the Ford out of the pit lane. Where will he emerge? Rodriguez in the Aston Martin. The Ford is ahead in pit lane, coming off the limited section now, but the pit lane's got a big dog leg in it, and although he's got a lead now, the Aston Martin up at racing speed has just nicked the place and continues to stay in front, and it's absolutely as it was before. But they are stuck behind Mark Gindorf in the 29 Ford. That might allow Dodonka to do something about it. Rodriguez in the Aston Martin's already up to speed. Andrea Palmer leads this little group of 5 people, all chasing 10th place, I think. All chasing after the Ferrari. Von Gartzen in the Corvette, Maxime Martin in the Morgan. That's all over the shop there. Dimitris Deverikos, I'm not quite sure what happened. Coming over the rise there, that car was all over the shop. I don't know whether he'd got it on the curbs and got it into a bit of a body swerve on the bumps, but it was totally out of control as Dodonka is now being chased hard by the 26 Audi of Christopher Haas. Christopher Haas looking left and right, wants to get past, and does it very neatly in the final corner. That was very cheeky indeed by Christopher Haas, but that Audi corner's so flat and so fast, it was relatively easy for him. Haas up to second place, fending off Dodonka, and in the background another Audi closing in. Not the Lamborghini, but further back than that. Just a glimpse of Audi in the background, and Eric Dodonka can't do anything about the Audi that's just passed him. In fact, he looks to be falling back into the clutches of the back-marking Lamborghini they've just been involved with. This is your race leader, though. Julian Rodriguez being hunted down by Christopher Haas. Now he's got past the Ford roadblock, to him anyway. Oh, that's going backwards, number 7. That's Claudio Ricci in the Ferrari. And it looks like he's spun that all by himself as our race leader is on his final lap. Heading home, last corner. Haas in his wheel tracks isn't going to be doing anything about it. And there is the checkered flag raised. Christopher Haas launches a bit as they go towards the flag. But it is Aston Martin that goes over the line first. Haas is second. And Dodonka hangs on to third. Let's have a look at the final order, and you can see how the new boys from Audi and Alpina are much in evidence, but it is still Aston Martin's day here in Germany.
It's a very, very good course, very, because Thomas do a very good start, and he's always on the with Lunardi behind him, but he give the pressure the higher, and it's okay, very okay for us, and we are really happy with Thomas to win this race.
From a championship point of view, 15th place and nil point for the Morgan duo of Martin and Lesoudier is as significant as this win for Ackery and Rodriguez. You've got to say it's all about the Hexis Aston Martin team at the moment, but maybe that will change at round 6, and that's right here in Oschersleben in a couple of minutes from now. Welcome back to Oschersleben in Germany for the second race of the weekend for the FIA GT3 Championship. We had a close race yesterday, but today we've got a wet track that's steadily drying, and for that reason this race will start behind the yellow safety car, not the black leading car. And after a couple of sighting laps to get a feel for conditions, they'll all be released to go racing. Once again, we have an Aston Martin on pole, but it's the other one, though. It's not the number 3, it's the number 4, started by Makovici.
Fred, it was a quick change from GT2 moving into GT3. It's great that you've got a bit of experience out there.
Yeah, sure, and the condition of the track is very special. Maybe I can have a good experience with the GT2.
Fresh from that GT2 race, Fred knows all about the special conditions. A few others do as well. Not this man, Marc Basseng, qualified second place in the Porsche. He'll be on the other side of the front row. And we start the race behind the yellow Wiesmann GT. This is the safety car. You can see the standing water on the racetrack in places as they go through turn 1. And even at these speeds, on fat tyres, these cars will move about a lot. So they'll do a couple of laps behind the car, get the conditions in their mind, and also start a drying line. Nothing clears water as much as a parade of race cars do. But now they have been released. No overtaking until they pass the start-finish line. They're on now. And this 6th round of the FIA GT3 Championship is go. Down the inside goes Marc Basseng. Will he get it turned? There was water under all of their wheels. Spray being kicked up, but somehow or other he got that Porsche turn. Runs very wide here. And Fred Makovici, it's unusual to see him. Oh, look, you can see he's having trouble with that car. The yellow Alpina at the front of the queue there, fresh out of pit lane after electrical repairs. He's dead last. But look at the other one. Claudia Hürtgen has got past and is chasing after the leader. So we've got 2 Alpinas in the picture, but one of them is last, and this one is now first. Claudia Hürtgen just breezes past Marc Basseng. There's Klinsmann in the last one, and here is Claudia Hürtgen in the first one. Then it's Marc Basseng. Then it is the Aston Martin of Fred Makovici, who thinks it's his turn down the inside. Wheel to wheel, he goes with Marc Basseng. Look at it, it's all over the place. The track is drying, it's getting better, but he cannot get past. And he's got problems behind him as well. Look behind him, and you'll find that he's got an Audi breathing down his neck. Christopher Haas in number 26 wants to get past. That was a Morgan. Best showing we've seen for Morgan all through this weekend. That was the number 101. On board again with Makovici. Watch how he fights the wheel of this Aston Martin. It really seems to be having trouble in these conditions. Claudia Hürtgen, meanwhile, has just disappeared up the road while Marc Basseng in the Porsche does his best. But here we have, look, they're watching in the pits there. Look, their little fingers crossed as well. Yeah, it's time for a wave, but they're still as nervous as the drivers on track. Makovici doing what he can. Oh, and he goes wide. Marc Basseng gave it to him. Ran wide on the exit to the corner, on the grass, and straight through went the Aston Martin and Christopher Haas. And through goes the Morgan as well. Maxime Martin gains the place. That was a Ferrari going straight on at turn 1. Looking back now at the big Viper, making a pass on the front straight. on the number 3 Aston Martin. Duncan Houseman somehow or other got that one turned into the corner, and I don't know where that came from. And I'm pretty sure Rodriguez hasn't got a clue either. Oh dear, that is Maxime Martin. That looks like the engine of that Morgan has let go. Oh, we're big time. And that's done more damage to their championship than it has to the engine, that's for sure. That's a really important and significant retirement championship-wise. That's a fairly important and significant amount of damage on that Alpina. And quite clearly, it's had some contact with somebody all down the left-hand side. Chris Diamond hoping that it burns off. Manuel Rodriguez hoping for a clean pit stop. This is the first of the early stoppers, the faster driver waiting in pit lane, so you stop early to maximise his seat time. Claudia Hurchen has stopped with a couple of minutes to spare. There she is in pit lane now. The number 24 car, the race leader, is in the pit lane. Everybody's in there. We're on board in the number 4 with Bakovici now in P1. Christopher Haas is behind in second place, although I think he's gone into the pit lane as well. And in goes Bakovici. Racing again down this little pinball chute towards the speed limit marker, 60 kilometres an hour now. And then clearing the controls, ready for the pit stop. Seatbelts loosened off as he stops at his pit. "45 seconds is roughly the allowance for a pit stop, so it's all fairly calm." Out goes Manuel Rodriguez as past the pit lane goes Christian Mamero, a couple of laps down in that 25 car. Remember, it had electrical problems on the grid. Here comes the end of the pit lane for Rodriguez. On the loud pedal now, he can race it, and in the background is the Alpina he's racing against. That is Schaber Walter, the Hungarian new boy, and he is going to be second. Oh, he's going to be more than second. Outbrakes himself in the turn and gets it all together, rejoins, and he's about to be snapped up by the number 26 of Chris Mees behind him. Chris Mees can see the opportunity here. Schaber Walters upset himself. Duncan Houseman's got a problem on track of some kind and is struggling back to pit lane. That's Luca Piri, and he's got a little bit of a problem at turn 1, but he's collecting it up and rejoins. Let's go back. Oh, and Duncan Houseman's got it going again. That was great. Did they touch there? I think they might have done. Let's have a look and see what happened. There's the Corvette, and he seems to have done that all by himself, and now facing the wrong way, has to get it sorted out without hurting himself or anybody else. Let's go back to this battle then, because it's all happening at the front. Oh, and that's not right at all. That's not right at all. Schaber Walter is slammed into the wall by Christopher Mees. I think he was trying to pass the MP BMW that's at the bottom of the picture there and decided not to, slowed off in the middle of the corner, and Christopher Mees didn't have anywhere to go. The team obviously aren't very happy about this. Schaber Walter out of the car though, and he's okay, but it has changed the picture of the race quite considerably, and there's still a lot of racing going on here. On board in the number 4. Number 26 is already ahead. Christopher Mees leads this race, so having tapped out Schaber Walter inadvertently. What you couldn't see at the beginning of that was the prelude, when Schaber Walter here was trying to pass the 35, decided not to, and I think that left him slow mid-corner, and Chris Mees had nowhere to go. Now we've got Nicolas Armindo jumping up and down and getting past Manuel Rodriguez. And there's a recovery vehicle on track. And obviously we're not going to have a safety car with so few minutes to go. We're just going to try and clear this car from the exit of the last corner. And another little moment at turn 1, this time for the CRS Ferrari. We've got a race control message on our screen giving car 26 a drive-through penalty, obviously for hitting Sharma Walter up the boot. There probably won't be time to take it though. This is all going to change. We're all racing for position here, but if we take the 26 car out of the equation, I think we might be looking at the battle for the lead here. Christopher Nygaard in the Ford GT will be the winner of this race as long as he can keep Armindo here behind him for the next couple of corners. Christopher Mies is going to take the checkered flag and he will show us the winner, but once you do the sums and take his 30 seconds away from him, it's not going to be his race. It's going to be the Ford GT, the Fisher Ford in the background, that takes the win. There's the checkered flag for Christopher Mies, and there is the car I think is going to win this race. And although the timing screen is taking the results directly from the trackside timing and can't account for any penalties, which may be the subject of appeal,